Okay, we're back now. We've got our refreshments and our coffee.
Coffee drinkers.
Yeah, that's another addiction there. Caffeine. No, what I wanted to get into now was the possibility of and this is another mental preparedness. The fact of one of your family members that you're with, or a good friend, or whoever
Your group.
yeah, that's with you. What happens if they get a bad injury? You know, how are we going to prepare, or how are we going to be ready for that? It's
kind of hard in a way, because we all know that you can get hurt like that, and
very easy.
ankle, knee,
Chopping
twist,
wood.
right? Chopping wood, anything, and that's the reason I prefer a bow saw over an axe. And this is from Morris Kohansky: is you can saw through a tree faster than you can chop one down, and you can use a bow saw at night with no flashlight, whereas you have to use a flashlight of some sort with an axe or a hatchet. But don't be complacent. Always be aware. Stay alert. Stay alive. Is the way we was taught in the military. Always think 2 seconds in front of what your actions are going to be.
Right. We kind of have somewhat of an advantage because there's a couple of us here that have medical experience.
Right. You're a paramedic. He was a nurse. And we were studying for EMT. And
so we've got our bases covered.
we got our somewhat, but like I said, I'm relying on y'all from the medical field very heavily.
What genuinely worries me about other people is, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I did EMS work for 8 years, and I've seen some just horrible calls, people that were really messed up, and it becomes, you'd be surprised what you get used to. There's things that you'll see while you're doing this job that just, it kind of registers in your mind, why isn't this bothering me?
Right.
A normal person would be,
Flipping out.
freaking out or puking their guts out or something, and over time you kind of get used to it. You get used to the situation of, okay, there's somebody hurt, I got to do something,
Right.
I got to start a decision-making process to get this person from critical to stable and get them where they need to go.
Yeah.
What I worry about with some of the other people out there, maybe, what's going to happen when they don't have that experience, or they're not used to that, and it's a family member on top of that. That's really going to cause a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm. On top of what stress was already there.
Right. There's going to be so many factors there.
Or child, or children, or something of that nature.
Right.
Which none of us have children, but
that's something, you really got to prepare, you really got to think about. Maybe even might be a good idea to enlist in a couple of first aid classes so you'd at least have a basic knowledge.
Basic knowledge, right.
But the mental preparedness for that is just, I don't know that you could ever be completely ready.
True,
Yeah,
that's going to me a Rambo scenario, I'm ready for it. No, come on. You're just trying to be big and tough.
That's another one of those cases where you really don't know what you're going to do until
it happens.
It happens. Right. Anybody else here have anything to add?
Shell? Boo? Beck?
In contrast to being in the field, how would the nursing training, you think, how would it prepare you?
You just get a bit more of a knowledge of procedures and how to keep things clean, even in less ideal situations. You get an idea for how to explain what you're doing to a person so that they can not be scared and
kind of calm them down.
Calm them down, get it done, and get them better.
What about sutures? I mean, we're not going to have morphine or all these high-powered meds, you know, that we can go to the hospital.
Well, the best I can think of is actually if you can get an aromatherapy blend or something that might help cut the pain, or if you've got something else that might help you numb it, like a lidocaine spray.
Right.
Best you're gonna get.
And I think one of the biggest enemies there is going to be infection.
Yeah.
Because you're like we talked about earlier, stepping back into the history here, what happened on the battlefield during the Civil War, and further back.
Well, the benefit
sanitation
is
there was a big
the benefit
deal.
is we've learned about how to wash your hands
Right.
and what it does for you. So if you've got access to even like water, and if you've got any sort of alcohol or something in your pack, give your hands a wash before you touch that person's wound.
Sure, it's anything to disinfect, and going back to the mental part of it, or mentality part of it,
and skill for medicinal herbal aspects.
Sure. Your training and what we did, you have kind of a set protocol, which is really going to help people that's been in the medical field, because there's a set of steps. Each patient you treat the same as you would anybody else, and you've got a set of steps. Okay, well, this is wrong with this person, so I have a set of protocols that's going to keep my mind from wandering. It's going to keep me from, what do I do now? Well, here's the set of given protocols.
Right.
So that helps you stay focused and keeps you from getting real freaked out. You do that later after it's done.
Right. Pass out later. So,
well, actually, there is an interesting resource that might be handy that I remember from nursing school, and all of the beginning students carried it around because they were scared of messing up. And it was literally just a little pocket-sized manual, and it was the best one you would probably want to get is for medical surgical, and it's got the procedures listed out for how you handle each situation.
Right.
You just flip to the page and you go, okay, I'm calm now. I can do this.
Right. Now, this may throw a monkey wrench in things, and it may not. We're talking medical here. Does that mean go get a truckload of medical supplies to throw in our pack, or be reasonable about it? Because we've already got our 4 seasons of clothes, somewhat food or traps, things of that nature.
I have an idea. You could always assign someone to carry stuff like that if they've got a slightly bigger pack.
Well, that's an idea. Or
could you cash it?
So, there's a lot of things that they have dates on them.
Right.
But unless it's a medicine or something like that, it's really not going to matter. Their main focus is sterility.
Right.
In the dressings. And, past a certain date, I'm sure, or if it starts changing colors, it's probably not a good idea to use it. But
right.
That's where your knowledge of the medicinal herbs and things of that nature are going to take over.
Right.
I would definitely pack some medical, at least first aid gear.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely have sutures anyway. I mean, 60-pound pack or 40-pound pack, going through a unnavigated piece of terrain, it's easy to get off balance, slide down a hill, cut your leg, twist your ankle or some sort, knee or anything, then what? You're laid up for a week.
Right. And in a pinch, you can use...
Well, you can use mullein for a piece of gauze or what have you.
Or the plant we were talking about earlier. You can chew it and put it in your wound and stop the bleeding. It helps disinfect it.
The plantain, yarrow, things of that nature.
Sure.
I always have some dried yarrow. I always carry some a half baggie of yarrow.
But I think
dried yarrow.
Maybe the best steps to prepare you mentally for that would be have a set plan. Maybe sit down and write out, in this situation, this is what I'm going to do, and commit yourself to following this set of rules, or this set of protocols, I'll call it, that you've written out. And I think that would keep you, after the initial shock and after the bleeding is stopped or the leg is splinted, then worry about flipping out.
Right.
After the immediate threat is done. But yeah, that's going to be some major stress and, I don't know, just a lot of pressure on you.
Even in the hospital setting, you all know me, I kind of tend to be excitable, but with the set protocol in front of me, I had no problem. It was easy as pie to do what was before you. Mm-hmm. And you freak out when you're done.
When you're done, right.
Yeah.
You go into the office area, you keep it professional, you hide in the corner or something if you got to, and you do what you got to do.
Okay, what about those of us who are on medications?
Do what you can now to get off them?
To get off of them, exactly right.
That's a very good point that I think you and I and maybe a few other people have discussed. You and I've discussed it before. Yeah, that's something that you really got to think about. What about people who are on
Well, what happens
major
if someone in your group starts having a baby?
That's true too.
Yeah, that's a major one there too.
And
Boom, here you go. You got a fifth person.
There's a little stork come in and play there. Yeah.
How do you clothe them? What do you do?
I would really be worried a lot about the first few years of life there.
Yeah.
With diseases.
Yeah.
Things they can catch, treating different normal things that children come in contact with.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a major
shocker.
Right. What do I do now?
Yeah, now, I mean, to me, I know sex is going to happen. I mean, but try to prevent that at all costs. I mean,
But at the same time, if it happens, there's a reason for it.
Right. I mean,
which there are, again, going back to the medicinal herbs, there's things that you can use. You do have some resources up there, but and clothing a child. I mean, we can go and kill and skin a bear or something and have a really warm coat, blanket. But my biggest worry would be treating the diseases, caring for the elements. Keeping them out of the elements.
Right. That would put a big damper on mobility.
Right. Well, yeah.
It would be more of a fixed camp-based scenario.
You could still move around if you were careful. But
yeah.
You'd need to be careful with that little one until they could get around themselves.
Oh, yeah. Which is what?
A couple years.
5 years, Because we all know how little toddlers are. Gotta touch everything. Don't
miss a leash.
Nothing. Yeah.
Even at that age, 5 years old, you're going to have to really watch them. Okay, so what about the situation with the other people in your group or with you?
Right.
Right now, maybe you have something that, I don't know, in the past that you didn't get along about, or maybe there was something that you're currently dealing with. You have a problem with this other person. How is that going to show up later or affect people later?
Well, I've witnessed this firsthand in the military before we got deployed. They were roommates, and it was I'm going to say a stupid reason. Let's say it was the way you talked. Okay, they never addressed that. Like I said, that wasn't the reason, but let's say this is the reason. I don't like the way you talk. Well, we got deployed. The stress from the deployment on that particular soldier with that other one, it just sat there and festered and festered and festered, and it boiled to the boiling point to whereas he attacked that other soldier. And how can I say it? Instead of addressing it, I mean, he just let it build and build and build, and then he just exploded. And it's like, I can't stand your voice, you're killing me. And then, you know, I'm not going to say draw down on him or nothing, but I mean, you know, it went to fist fighting blows. So, I think that it's very important from within your group, no matter what problem it is. I don't care. I mean, it could be as silly as
You stink.
you stink. Yeah. I mean, you need to address each individual problem now and get it out of the way and dealt with, whereas keeping it bottled up, and then when you do have to roll out, you still have that problem, and it's sit there and it's going to fester, and with the compound stress that you're already going through, that's going to make it worse. And then you bring it up to that individual, then it could be one of two things: bust the party up or cause a killing.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very good point that everybody, if they decide to have a group, can sit down and really discuss that. I mean, like, you know, did any of y'all have a problem with me over anything? I don't care. I don't like the color of your hair. I don't like the way you talk. I don't like the way you walk. You know, you're too cocky. You know, those things can bust a cat up or bust a group up and can cause a killing if out there. But it's stupid. It's really stupid. But you add stress to that.
Sure. That's the killer right there.
You add the stress, and there's going to be stress. Which I know we're going to argue. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just like a mommy and daddy and a son, or a mommy, daddy, and a daughter. They can't live together. Once that daughter or son becomes of age, they're going to argue. That's like family can't work together. They argue. But there's going to be little spats and arguments. Yeah, that's a given. You know, gosh, we're with you 24 hours a day, you know, 7 days a week.
You're getting on my nerves.
Getting on my nerves, right. Those are to be expected, but where I've witnessed that one firsthand, I know what it can do. And we had, like I said, we had to take his weapon away, handcuff him, and do away with him.
Yeah, I think that's a very good and major point, or valid point to look at, especially to prepare for.
Right.
Because you do, and I've seen this from first-hand experience from my workplace. You see a couple people out together outside of work, and they're okay. You know, they're laughing, talking, whatever. They get into the workplace, and there's a little bit of stress involved in their job. They are at each other's throats.
Right.
You add that little element of stress, and everything...
It's a game changer.
Yeah, everything that they've had inside of them about that person just comes out.
Right.
And it just builds. It makes you
Well,
really
aren't that
angry.
Bible verse, what's on the heart comes out the mouth, or something to that effect?
Yeah, it's that's very true. I mean, you put somebody in together long enough, or in a stressful situation long enough, and things are going to come out.
Right. And usually they don't come out the right way.
Right. It's usually
In a violent situation.
an uncontrollable.
Right.
Yeah, temper.
So like I said, I really don't want to go into faults on video, you know, because we're trying to get points across and ideas out there. Not to say that we're going to be fist fighting or anything, but
Let's go.
yeah, but I mean, that's something that everybody needs to be aware of and to acknowledge.
I think as a group, we're pretty fortunate in that, you know, a couple of years ago or so, we kind of had to hash things out.
Right.
Get back to square one.
Right.
So now, if there's anything else on everybody's minds, we should maybe take some time off video. But I don't think there is.
No, I mean,
But yeah, that's a really good point. It's good that we've been through that experience,
Right.
Because now it's all said and done. It's over with, and everything is, you know, we know where each other stands, and And that's what you got to do. I would recommend that for anybody out there
Anyone.
watching, because those people that you think, oh well, we buried the hatchet, it's okay,
Right.
and you know they really haven't gotten rid of it. It's going to show up. I promise you.
It will show. I guarantee you it will show up. Maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, maybe even a year. But eventually, well, if it ain't come up in a year, it probably won't come up.
Yeah.
But
That's true. You never know. And you never know, too, if you get mad enough at somebody, even if you think something's buried, your stupid human mind might bring it back up.
Well, that's true. I mean, we're all human. We don't.
So you
I'll
gotta be
forgive
watchful.
you, but I won't forget.
You gotta be watchful
Right.
and careful.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, definitely a big point to bring up and to discuss. Well, there was something else I had planned, or was going to say, and
Sorry.
well, that's fine. That's fine. It kind of led to the next subject. But yeah, okay, let's flip the scales here. You know, flip the coin. Everybody focuses on wild edibles, hunting, trapping. You hardly ever hear any talk about wild mushrooms, other than the morel or morel. You know, I know them by some dryland fish. That's how I know them.
Christmas trees.
Yeah, there's basically two kinds of the you know, if the stem goes up inside it, it's the bad one. If it stops flush at the bottom, it's the good one. Outside of that, you'll walk over 10 mushrooms to get to those blueberry patches. You know, I think.
Because you look at them and you go, oh, well, they could be poison.
Right. You automatically think mushroom poison. Simply because you never took the time to look at the book
and
or
that's
go out and look
something.
at
When I
it.
was a kid, I remember my mother taking us in the park and stuff, and we would go and she'd show us about the mushrooms, and we would take bags of them home that we could eat.
Right.
And it's just like, it's one of those things that you lose. If you don't use it, you lose it. So you
right.
have to practice the skill once you've got it.
I mean, I would rather know 6 mushrooms, 7 mushrooms that I know for a fact I can eat. Maybe I didn't get a squirrel or a rabbit or something, you know, some vegetable. But yet you see these mushrooms like everywhere. If I didn't know that I could eat that, I would be stomping them down, you know, going hungry that night. You know, it may not taste the best by any means, but it's something in your belly.
Right, something that sustain you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like rice water, you know. You make your rice and all that, and, you know, you let it soak and salivate, and it looks kind of creamy. You know, a lot of people throw that out. You drink that. I mean, you know, it's got vitamins and nutrients and all kinds of goodies in it. But little things like that goes a long way in a long-term situation. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I'm not the short-term planner, prepper. I'm the long-term. I'm for the long haul.
But yeah, that's something, being able to ration and correctly use your resources.
Right.
I think that's a major deal too, because you're going to have to, you know, again, and going back to normal times right now, well, I want this extra hot dog,
Yeah.
we'll say. It won't hurt anything, you know, if I eat one extra tonight or whatever. In that situation, you know, or a survival situation, you're going to have to limit.
Right.
You're going to have
Your
to
portions.
have the control to, you know, okay, this is enough. This will sustain me. I'll save the rest for tomorrow or whatever. That's a major deal too, because for a lot of people, and I think it's because of the way we are today.
Right.
You know, you go to McDonald's or something, or you go to fast food restaurant, and they say, supersize this. Give me more.
They try to push it on you.
Yeah, give me some more stuff. And
It's only 69 cents, and I can get double the fries.
yeah,
Right.
it's
Drink and a half. But there was a study done and I don't know the exact quotes, so I mean, I could be totally off, but I'm just going to use random numbers. In the 40s, a home was 4 rooms. Their plates were 6 inches wide. In the 60s, they bounced it to 6 rooms. Their plates went to 8 inches.
And
the 90s to the millennium, we've
parents
gotten...
say clean your plates.
Right. The 90s, we got 9, 10, 11 homes, room homes, 2-story homes. And our plates are now 12 inches. A normal portion is the palm size of your hand. Well, we kill that, slaughter that.
Double and triple that.
But it goes back to ration,
And I think that's definitely a mentality issue, because you're going to have to go from excess nowadays down to just enough to give you energy to get through the day.
Right.
What about the rest of your group? If you're going to be out there in a group, they're going to have to eat too.
Right.
So grabbing everything and keeping it to yourself, that's not going to work so well.
Right.
And again, going back to the last thing we talked about, that's going to cause some problems between you.
But now having the mentality, not saying you're going to do it or would do it, but the mentality of survival. If it comes to the last apple, I think you should have the mentality that you're going to eat that apple. Will to survive. Whether you will, whether you won't. We discussed this last night a little. Like me and Becky. She said the same as you. She's going to have to split it. You have to have the mentality as, this is my apple. This is the last bit of food that we are ever going to get.
The fact is,
Whether
too,
you
though,
do it,
if you split it, you go from having one person having some stuff in their belly to sustain them to having two people with stuff in their belly to sustain them.
Right.
So there's that benefit. You got to weigh the pros and cons.
The pros and cons, right. But you got to have the mentality as, that's like 2 wild dogs, 2 wolves. You have, the alpha male eats first, obviously, but I'm not talking about that. But
yeah, that might get us beat if we talk.
Yeah.
Let's get them, Becky.
I eat my food. These other dogs ain't going to eat they're going to eat their food. They'll fight you over it. That's the type of, I'm saying it wrong, obviously. I mean, it's coming out wrong, but you have to have the mentality. Because they don't know where their next meal's coming from. You understand what I'm trying to say? And I hope YouTube land out there does too, but it's...
I think I know what you're trying to say. It's the mentality of doing what it takes.
Right.
No matter...
Whether you do split this apple or hot dogs, as you said, obviously you're going to do it because you love your wife or your partner or whatever. But have the mentality of, that's mine, man. I climbed that tree, got that.
And I think going into maybe just a touching on philosophy here or something, I think a lot of what we do has to do with our mentality or decision making. Because I don't know if you're familiar with the movie or the Bourne series movies.
Somewhat.
Do you remember when he's sitting in the room and they're pretty much telling him, if you shoot this guy, then you'll be an agent.
Right.
All you got to do is make up your mind, make the decision that you're going to stand up and shoot him. And of course he asks, well, what did he do? Well, it doesn't matter what he did. This is what you got to do to be what you want to be.
Right.
Well, looking at the survival situation, I think it's the same thing. If you have to have the self-control and you have to make the decision and stick with it.
Right.
It's like when I first stepped foot out there in the wilderness, I have to have my mind made up that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get me and my family through.
Right.
It doesn't matter if that takes me defending what I have from other people.
Right.
It doesn't matter if that means I have to eat the nastiest, awfulest looking stuff I've ever seen in my life. It's going to keep me alive. I think at some point, it comes to a point to where it's either
do or die.
And it's a decision.
It's a do or die, swim or drown, right?
It's something that you're going to have to, okay, I'm doing this, and stick with it, you know. And that's maybe one of the hardest things that you've ever faced in your life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that I've not ate. You know, but I'll eat them. Don't think I won't. I mean, I'm not picky. I mean, I'll eat them. And I'm sure y'all would too. I mean, it's just, you got to be faced with that.
Well, we were discussing the other night, earthworms.
Earthworms, you know, well, they got a lot of protein.
Or grasshoppers or things.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it if you got to.
And if you're hungry, it's going to make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know.
And I kind of get a kick from this. All your survival books and teachings, food is always on the bottom of the barrel. Food is the last thing you worry about. I'm against that too. No food, no human. You know.
Right.
We all know we need shelter. We all know that. We all know that we need fire to cook with and boil water. You know. But
I think for the most part, and this is
go ahead.
This is just me personally. I think it's in the top 3.
Yeah.
Because I think my personal, and part of it comes from you and me hanging out together and talking about this, and I agree with your philosophy on this. I think number 1 above everything else, the first thing you should worry about is fire.
That right there, right.
Because you can't cook without it. You can't stay right. You can't stay warm without it.
Right.
There's ways to make tools with fire. I think it's number 1 priority on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Second, to me, would be water. How am I going to get water? And if I don't have it already,
right,
where is my water source?
Well, the best place to keep your water is in your stomach. Now, I know that may sound stupid, but military and police training, they said if you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated or dehydrating, and the best place to keep it is in your stomach.
Yeah, I think because to me, you'll last less time without water,
right,
than you will food. But my third thing is food.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find your food source, and I put that above shelter
because that is shelter in a way. In a sense, it is.
Yeah, and I mean now that might change a little bit in the wintertime.
Right.
Because you might need to look for something that's going to keep you out of the elements.
Okay, well, let's look at this. Let's say, well, we're in the eastern hemisphere, or eastern United States. Humidity, we're in the mountains, it's damp air. We go to sleep, we wake up, our clothes draw dampness, our sleeping bags draw dampness. We're in a shelter, but we don't have a source of heat.
Right.
To keep it away. So I mean that's me. Shelter is below. Shelter to me is bottom of the line.
Because we can stand so much exposure to different things.
Right. But with a fire, and you don't need a humongous fire. I mean, you know, a little candle is all you need to keep you warm. Like my dad, you know, the basic training, the little shelter house or whatever, the little penny candle is what they call them. They dug a little hole, lit their penny candle up, done their 2-hour guard duty, come back, and their little tent was toasty warm, you know. You cook over the candles. You get 8-hour candles, get, you know, the little tea light candles. You don't need no big blazing fire. Just burning hordes of wood to, excuse me.
But it's still fire.
It's still fire, right. I can take that.
To do the job.
I can take a military poncho, take a tea light candle, set it up, put that around me, put it around the fire, and I'm as warm as in that house in it.
Yeah, it's just enough to do what you need to do.
Right. And another thing, and this is a big controversy. And it was scientifically proven. I was on a document. They took a man, they took him down to his skivvies, put him in a freezer, put a big humongous fan in front of him, and had simple, what do you want to call it, task, as in putting the square in the square and the circle in the circle and unscrewing the nuts.
Yeah, I think I've seen that, what you're talking about.
Well, he couldn't do it. You know, once he got so cold, he went and got in the hot tub and sat there until he kind of unthawed and kind of regained his composure. But they heated his core up. That's the only thing they've done. They put a thing on his core, his trunk. At the same temperature, same fan blowing on him. I think they even had water spraying on him too, if I'm not mistaken. But they just heated his core up, and he was able to function like we are right now.
Right.
And like when people's cold, they automatically do this. Do their hands, do their arms, and do their legs. Rub your core. Because when you get cold, or when, like, let's say when you're get ready to get in a fight, adrenaline starts rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your blood go to? It goes to your core to protect your vital organs. Same way when you get cold. Shock.
Going into shock.
When you get cold, watch your. I can live with no fingers. I can live without a hand or a foot. I can't live without a heart or a liver.
Torso. Yeah.
You know, so that's where your blood goes, and it's flooding it. So rub that, keep that warm, and it'll circulate throughout your entire body.
Yeah, if you can keep that part of your body warm, that may buy you the extra time to get that fire going that you need to save your limbs from frostbite, you know.
I didn't mean to go on that little tangent, but I mean, that was...
No, that's right. That's a very good point.
And don't use your tinder that you leave with. To me, that's a last resort source. You know, although, yes, it's going to run out eventually, with the exception of charred material. Because every fire that you have, the next morning you're going to have charred material in that you can put in your fire kit to get your next fire going.
Right.
But your cotton balls, your lint, your cedar chips, your, what do you call it, the wafers, wet fire, those are for like ASAP fires. You know, I fell in the river, I'm frozen to death, you know, get something going right then and there. That's how I look at things like that.
Well, see, you're kind of bringing me into the next thing I wanted to talk about. Being able to think on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a situation like that, you're always going to have to be thinking.
Right.
I mean, you can't just, okay, I've got such and such skills, but what happens when it really comes down to it? Am I just going to plod through the wilderness?
Right.
And,
well, I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
You're always going to have to be thinking about your next move.
Yeah.
You know, where should I set up tonight? Where's going to be the best location? You know, is the weather looking like it's going to be bad?
Clouds, right.
Should I get in a place more sheltered? Should I go ahead and pack up for the day, or should I go another couple miles before it gets dark?
Right.
You know, there's always going to be so many things that you're going to have to process through your mind to make the right decision.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't used to having to do that.
Right.
I mean, from day-to-day life, they have a routine, and you break that routine and they're all pieces.
Yeah.
You've got to think outside of the box and be prepared for anything.
Right.
You know, kind of like the whole purpose of this discussion is to try to get everybody to think outside of the routine.
Yeah.
You know, be prepared.
Now,
prepare your mind for what you don't think can happen right now.
Yeah. Let's say our AO is 30 miles. You know, 2.5 counties, you know, border, or 50 miles. I don't know. We're human, we're lazy. Scout our AO, set up little painter cabins, tents, whatever you want to call it. Little mini shelters, because it's going to get cold one day or another.
Sure.
Lost train of thought. Set little mini shelters up. That's calories that you're saving in the long run for when you actually are out there doing it. But have them so discreet that every Tom, Dick, and Harry ain't going to run up on it and, pay it. They'll pay it no mind, have a set course, things of that nature. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've not got things set up in that aspect, but I mean, that's something to look at. Maybe we should, since we're in the norm as of now. I said it'd take less than a weekend to. All right, you got here. We're just going to do a big circle. You and Rochelle go out and do 4 to 5 miles one way. Me and Becky got 4 to 5 miles. That's 10 mile of a shelter. That's because somebody that doesn't walk, exercise, or anything, 8 to 10 miles all they're going to get in the woods. And you add heavier weight on your back, that's even less. Unnavigated terrain, no path, no road to go on. But there's something else for everybody to think about.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point there too.
Yeah. What else can we throw in there? Like I said, I'm trying to throw out every idea possible here.
When you're living in the group dynamic, you want to kind of make sure that everyone knows what their strengths are.
Good deal. Good strength.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Everybody brings to the table something else, something different.
Something different.
And it's the case in life. I mean, there's things that